Hello there and welcome to this American Civil War Epic Battle Report. So I'm going to today continue to play some of the scenarios out of the Glory Hallelujah supplement that Warlord Games do for American Civil War games. So today I've chosen the Newmarket scenario. So this is a battle that was fought in the spring of 1864 in the Shenandoah Valley outside the town of Newmarket, which is just on the edge down here. And the basic principle for this was that the Union under Major General Franz Sigel had basically pushed down into the Shenandoah Valley, trying to tie down local Confederate forces and trying to draw them into battle. And the local Confederate commanders called Major General John C. Breckinridge, and basically his forces are outside Newmarket. And the Union have been a bit slow getting deployed and moving around, so he's basically decided to attack and go on the offensive, basically. So what I'll do now, I'll just go through the scenario and the forces, and we'll come back for that. Okay, so as you can see at the start of the game, the Confederate division is already deployed outside of Newmarket, and they're basically on the attack. The Union have been slow to deploy, so over here Sigel's just got one brigade deployed, as opposed to Breckinridge has got his whole division out. So let's run through the Confederate forces. So there's Major General Breckinridge himself. So he's on this left flank here, supporting his brigade commander Wharton, who's got 4 infantry regiments. He's got a large one there, two standard regiments and 1 small. Then he's also got a detachment of 6 howitzers, so 6-gun howitzer battery and a 4-gun smoothbore battery. Okay, so I always represent 6 guns with 3 stands and 4 guns with 2 stands. So he's attached on that side. Breckinridge, I'm using the Commander-in-Chief rules. So basically he'll be given free re-rolls out to any brigade commander he's attached to, so he's starting the game with Wharton. In his centre, he's got a 2nd Brigade under Eckel. That's got 3 standard infantry regiments, and also this small regiment here, which is the cadets from the Virginia Military Institute, which was I think it was just outside Newmarket, or part of Newmarket town. And I'm not a historian, but having read some of the things around this, he did call up the 250 or so cadets from that institute. So these are young lads who actually fought in the battle and did very well, apparently. So, so they're on the battlefield there as part of Eckel's brigade. And then on his right flank here we've got Imboden, and that's a cavalry brigade. So you've got a large cavalry regiment there, a tiny one there, and he's got a 4-gun battery of horse artillery. And also Imboden had done well earlier in the days leading up to this. So in the book basically they give him a command rating of 9, so he's 1 up on everybody else, and the standard command rating is 8, so he's got 1 more, so he's slightly easier to command things. So so that's a Confederate deployment, and again they're just going to be sweeping up and trying to break the Union lines. So we're going to have a look at their forces now. Okay, so this is the initial Union deployment over this side. So there's Major General Sigel there, and he's attached to his brigade commander here, Moore, who's got basically 3 infantry regiments. He's got 2 large regiments and 1 small. He's also got a 6-gun battery of smoothbores and a 4-gun battery of smoothbores as well. So he's holding this centre here. And in the woods down here is a dismounted cavalry. Basically, this is Wynkoop. The brigade commander is called Wynkoop. Strange name, but there you go. And he's got 2 tiny cavalry regiments, so it's only small. And they start the game dismounted in the woods here. So that's all the Union have got out at this stage. And basically, as the game goes on, the reinforcements for the Union will be coming down this road here. So I'll just go and show you the reinforcements and come back for that. Okay, so these are the Union reinforcements. As you can see, pretty substantial. And these come on during the game. So on turn 1, this large cavalry brigade will arrive. This is under Tibbet. He's got a large cavalry regiment, a small cavalry regiment, and then a tiny cavalry regiment. And he's also got a 6-gun battery of artillery. Now, it doesn't say horse artillery in the book, so I'm just counting them as foot artillery, so they will be limbered, but not horse artillery. So they're game turn 1. Then on game turn 2, we get Thoburn's brigade, which is down here, and he's got 1 large regiment, 1 standard regiment, and then 1 small regiment coming on. He's also got 2 4-gun batteries coming on, so lots of artillery arriving with the Union reinforcements. So they're on game turn 2. And then on game turn 5, you've got Sullivan, Major General Sullivan. So he's got 2 large infantry regiments coming in. These are actually the Iron Brigade, although I don't think the Iron Brigade were actually on the day, but it's the Iron Brigade for today. Anyway, so they're coming on in game turn 5, if it goes that far. Okay, so that's the Union forces. So just going a quick recap of the scenario, and then we'll crack on with first turn. Okay, so again, just a quick recap. So Breckenridge is attacking, so he'll be on the first turn. Basically using the standard black powder rules of for victory in terms of breakpoints. So the Confederates have got 3 brigades, so Union will have to break 2 of those to win, and the Confederates need to break at least 3 of the Union's 5 brigades. Again, we'll probably run this 5, 6, 7 turns, see how it goes, see what it's looking like. So over to turn 1, which will be for the Confederates. Okay, it's the end of turn 1 for the Confederates. A bit of a mixed bag, really. Starting off over on the left flank here, and Wharton had an absolute nightmare, so he basically blundered. That was with the command re-roll, because he failed his first order, took the command re-roll and rolled a double 6. And basically rolled a 2, so his whole brigade has just shuffled back 1 move. So not a great start for this left flank of the Confederates. Not what Breckenridge was looking for anyway. There was no orders to the artillery, so they just stayed where they were. Over in the centre here, Ecole, not too bad, just got 1 move up towards the Union lines. But in Bowden, with his command rating of 9, managed to get a nice sweeping move around towards the flank here. So we've got 2 moves off with his cavalry brigade. So just some early advances for the Confederates on this side. So there will be some shooting. So we've got the artillery down here, and I believe this regiment here at the front is in range as well. So we'll come back for some shooting. Right, so shooting wise, so we're going to start with the 6-gun howitzer battery here, which is shooting across. You could have chosen either the centre infantry regiment there or the guns, but we're going to go for the infantry because it's a large regiment and we're going to try and get them off this hill. So howitzers are great because they basically have the same shots at whatever distance. Because they're a 6-gun battery, I've got 3 dice for those, but they are at long range. So they are going to be hitting on 5s, so we'll do that first. So that is a hit and also a disorder. So I'll just put that onto them straight away, so that's not bad. And then they got a -2 morale save, so the Union will be saving on a 6, which they don't make, so that's also a casualty. So first blood for the Confederates. Okay, so and then we'll go over to the smoothbores, who again are going to fire at that infantry unit. Now these are at long range, so they've only got 1 dice, and they're going to be hitting on 5s as well. That's a miss. Okay, and we've also got this infantry regiment here, so we'll come back for that. Okay, so these are shooting up at that artillery battery there. So because they are deployed, they're not a clear target. So it's going to be three dice hitting on 5s. Just the 1 hit, and it's a save of 4 for the artillery, which they don't make. So that is a casualty. So that's again a good start for the Confederates. Oh, let's put that on there. Okay. All right, so that's the end of shooting and turn 1 for the Confederates. So over to turn 1 for the Union. Okay, so that's the end of an interesting turn 1 for the Union. So just on this right flank here, so Wingcoop just held his ground in the woods. On the hill here, Moore just shuffled this 1 small unit down off the hill to counter that movement from the horse artillery. However, Tibbett, who was the reserves coming on this turn with his big cavalry brigade, had a cracking roll. I think I rolled a 4, so was able to bring his whole brigade on. Now the way the rules set out, units arriving come on in march column, so he had enough orders to be able to come on in march, change into an assault column and charge into the Confederate cavalry, who countercharged, but also he managed to catch this horse artillery. So despite moving this unit down here, this small unit of Union cavalry managed to charge into the horse artillery, who can't evade. You can evade against infantry, but not against cavalry. So they have been caught really. So maybe you could argue a little bit of a tactical error there to bring the Confederate cavalry so far up the board. But Tibbett could have easily have rolled just for 1 move and just been on the board and give the cavalry the advantage for the Confederates. So a bit of a gamble, but it didn't work out. So the Union are now in combat, so that's good news. We're going to be a hand-to-hand combat. So we'll come back for some shooting now. We've got some shooting on the hill here from the artillery. Okay, so over to shooting. So this whole line's erupted. So the 4-gun battery here is fired across at this at the howitzers here. So they are at over half range, so it's just going to be 1 dice. And because they're deployed artillery, it's -1 because they're not a clear target. So that is going to be a 5 to hit with 1 dice. No, that's a miss. Then we've got the large regiment here. Now, they have got arc of fire across into this regiment here. These are too far away. But because of the angle, they're not a clear target again. But they do get 4 dice, being a large regiment. But they will be hitting on 5s. So that is 1 hit and a disorder. And then we've got a save of 4+ for the Confederates, which they don't make. So that is actually a casualty onto that unit, and also a disorder as well. And then we've got this 6-gun battery over here. I'll just bring this over a bit further. Now, because they're actually in medium range now, just inside half range, so they're going to get 3 shots, hitting it on 4s. Oh, wrong dice. Let's go these. That's 2 hits. It's already disordered. It's going to be -2 though to the saves because of being at medium range. So needing 6s. Note that is another 2 casualties. So that unit is actually shaken. So that's some good shooting there from the Union. So that unit's there now, shaken and disordered. So a good opening salvo from the Union. So we'll go over to do some hand-to-hand combat. Okay, so over to the hand-to-hand combat. So just a couple of things. So off camera, I decided just to do the fight between the horse artillery and that small unit of cavalry from the Union, because I thought it wouldn't last very long, and it didn't. So they easily overcame the horse artillery, who broke, so left the field. And then they did a sweeping advance and charged into this small, tiny unit of cavalry down here, who basically just turned to face. So that was really good on this little move there from the cavalry. But I did make a slight error on the forces. When I had another look at the combat, the Union didn't have a large cavalry regiment. It was just a standard, and they had 2 small. So I've actually just taken that down to a standard regiment, and this is now a small regiment supporting as opposed to tiny. But anyway, so this does give the Confederates a slight advantage in terms of dice. So we'll go over to that now, and we'll do the combat. Okay, so it's the Union turn, so we'll do that first. So this unit has got 6 hand-to-hand dice, so we've got 6 dice, and because they charged, they're going to be hitting on 3s. Okay, so that is 4 hits for the Union, so that's not a bad start for the Union. And then the Confederates get 8 hand-to-hand dice because they're a large unit, and they're going to be hitting on 3s as well because they counter-charged. Well, that's a great roll. Now, the 6s don't count as disorder in hand-to-hand, but that's actually 7. 4, 6, 7 hits for the Confederates. Okay, so we got so the Union got 7 saves of 4 to make. It's cocked. Yeah, so we got 4 saves. So that is 3 casualties for the Union, and then we've got 4 saves of 4 for the Confederates, and 1 casualty for the Confederates. So let's just have a look how that works itself through. So 3 casualties for the Union. The Confederates aren't supported, so that's going to stay as 3. And then the Union are supported here, so they get an extra point, so that's going to become a 2. So still don't win though, so the Confederates win that combat. So let me just apply those casualties. So the Union actually are shaken by that combat, and the Confederates get 1 casualty applied to them. Okay, so let's just see what happens for the combat results. So I need to roll 2 dice and see what happens. Okay, so that is a 6, which I do believe means they're going to retire. Let me just double check that. Yeah, so they're going to retire 1 move and become disordered. Okay, so I'll just do that off camera and we'll come back and see how that looks. Okay, so that was the outcome of the results. So these have moved back and will be disordered. Just need to put a disorder marker on them actually, so they are now disordered as well and shaken. And now because they didn't break, just retired, so this unit could have done a sweeping advance, but you can't come into contact with another unit unless the one you fought was broken. So they're just going to hold their ground. So now we've got this combat here between the small Union regiment and the tiny Confederate regiment, who again are just stats, and apparently these were partisan rangers, so they've been given the tough fighter special rule for this scenario, and also an extra hand-to-hand combat dice. So these were tough little, they've got basically, they're armed with shotguns apparently. So yeah, so that'd be quite interesting. So so we'll do the Union first, because they charged in, they're hitting on 3s, and we've got 4 dice. So that is 4 hits, 4. And then for the tough little fighters, so we get hitting on 4s because they didn't charge. Oh, they hit anyway, didn't need to re-roll. So it's 2, so it's 4 saves of 4 for the Confederates. just the one casualty. Okay, interesting. And then we've got 2 saves for the Union on 4s and 1 casualty for them as well. So that's 1 each. And because nobody's supported, oh, they are supported. So these will be supported now because these have finished their combat. So these are now supported. Oh, just knocked them. So these were supported to their flank. So that means that the little tough fighter unit did actually win that combat. So just need to roll for the Union morale check, which was an 8. So I think they're fine. I think actually cavalry always do retire, but I'll just double check that and come back. Okay, so that's the end of that combat. So this unit is pulled back to here and is now shaken with that casualty. And also this tough fighter unit is also shaken, only having 1 stamina. So wow, that's the end of quite a hectic turn 1 for a game of Epic Black Powder. So obviously the guns have erupted on this side here. This, Tibbott's charge has been checked by Imboden's brigade. Although he's lost his artillery, which is a bit of a blow, but still the Confederates have held their flank. I was a bit worried that the Union would have swept through that potentially, and that would have been potentially a game changer in turn 1. But at least that flank's held. But clearly, Siegel's position is still pretty strong on this hill. He's got his flank pretty secure on here as well, and he's got that brigade on now. But so let's see what the Confederates can do in turn 2. They've got to try and push on and try and see if they can start to inflict some more pain and casualties onto the Union lines. Okay, so that's a lively end to a turn 2 movement for the Confederates. Keen to get on with it. So on this left flank, so we've got Wharton's brigade here. Actually got a good roll with the help of Breckinridge's re-roll. So managed to get right up towards Wincoop's dismounted cavalry here in the woods. As you can see, it looks like they're trying to make a bit of a left sweep here now against Union lines. Over in the centre here, Eccles' brigade. This unit was disordered, but managed to get the rest of them to move up. Again, I know there's cannons here, there's artillery all around, but Confederates haven't got time to waste. They need to try and maximise the time where the Union haven't got their full units on the table, so moved up aggressively here. And then on this right-hand side here, after his first turn, Imboden is still keen to get stuck in, so this unit here charged into this small unit of cavalry here. And because these were shaken, they decided to dismount, because being shaken they can't charge. And they've only got 1 stamina, so I can't rally them off back to normal. So just look better off getting some more guns on the table, so they just dismounted. Okay, so we've got some more shooting to come, and then a bit of hand-to-hand. So we're going to start the artillery down here. Just to clarify as well, with American Civil War, if you move more than once, you can't shoot. So obviously these have moved up almost 3 moves, so they can't shoot. So it's just to be the artillery. So we've got the howitzers here again, so 3 dice, again hitting on 5s, aiming for that middle regiment there. And there is 1 hit there, so it's going to be a 6 up to save. No, so that is another casualty. So slowly getting into these guys here. They have got a stamina of 4 because they are a large unit. And then we've got the smooth bores, so again just 1 dice on a 5. Does hit and a disorder. Interesting. It's only -1 because it's at long range. So that means it's going to be a 5. No, so that's another casualty. And once again, these are disordered, so that's not a bad little round of shooting for the artillery down here. Again, over here, these all move more than 1 move, so they can't shoot. These are blocked, so they can't shoot through. Well, I'll just check actually. I'll just double check that. So I did actually measure from the leader model through there, and they are just in range, which is good news. So I forgot, because these are all rifle muskets, so 12-inch range. So I do use half ranges, but yeah, they are in range, but they aren't a clear target, so it's going to be 5s. But that is another hit, but they do get a 4 up for the save, because it's just muskets, which they make, so it didn't matter anyway. Okay, we've got a bit of shooting here from the dismounted cav, so we'll come back for that. Okay, so this unit's firing here, so with their rifle carbines, they are just in range, so it's going to be 1 dice, but because they are shaken, it's going to be -1, so we need a 5, which they do make. Okay, and the cavalry need a 4 up save, which they don't make, so that is interesting, because that means they're 1 over their stamina now, over their shaken limits. They will be testing. I don't think there's any more shooting actually, no, so we'll do that test now, break test. So it's 2 dice, and it's going to be -1. Yep, I think it's just -1. Yep, just -1. Oh dear. Okay, so that's a 4 becomes a 3. So that means they're broken. Now, because it's American Civil War, there's a special rule called whipped. Now, because if they break in shooting, they don't actually break off the table, but they become whipped, which basically means they're reduced for the rest of the game. So yeah, so that was a good result. Okay, so we'll move over to some hand-to-hand. Okay, so before we get to the hand-to-hand, as you can see, this unit's now been reduced to one stand. So they're permanently shaken and they are now whipped as well. So they've just retreated. So really, they're not going to take much more part in the game now. But yeah, that's what it is. Okay, so over to the hand-to-hand. So again, we've got Confederates have charged in. The Union did counter-charge. So again, because of a large unit, they're going to get 8 hand-to-hand dice, hitting on 3s. Okay, not too bad. That's 5 hits. And then the Union get 4 attacks because they're a small unit. So hitting on 3s because they counter-charged. Just the 2. Okay, so that's going to be 2 saves of 4 for the Confederates, which they both make, and then 5 saves of 4 for the Union. And they don't, well, cocked. Make 3, so that's 2 casualties. So these are supported to their rear, and I did forget last turn, which is a shame, but of these were actually probably supporting that other combat, which I forgot about, so they are supporting, so no advantage there. So it's just the 2 casualties on there, so the Confederates win again. So these will be testing, so they are actually shaken as well. So it's just 2 dice. 4, that's, sorry, 8, so that's so similar to their buddies in the last round. They're going to retire and become shaken. Okay, I'll just do that and come back. Well, that was a very interesting turn because with this unit now whipped and shaken, these were shaken, and this unit now shaken, unfortunately Tibbott's brigade is broken. So this really aggressive melee that occurred from turn 1, so with Imboden's cavalry pushing forward aggressively, Tibbott coming in to countercharge, unfortunately the Union have broken. So this whole left flank of the Union is going to fade away. So there's lots of rebel yells and hollowing across the Confederate lines, with the signs of the Bluecoats retreating off the board. So it's first blood for the Confederates in terms of brigades broken. So yeah, okay, so we'll move over to turn 2 for the Union, see if they can fight back. Okay, so that's the end of turn 2 movement for the Union. So what happened here? So on the hill, could see that this, obviously Wharton's brigade is pushing it, obviously trying to get through a bit of a flanking manoeuvre going on here. So just move this large regiment round, plus you just move the artillery round to face that way, so there should be some fire coming that way across into Wharton's brigade. Just kept the left flank as it was, so we're kind of spreading a little bit more out around this high ground. And then Thoburn, the more reinforcements arrived, but had a terrible roll really, because he managed only to get 1 move, despite being march column and on a road, which isn't great because that means, as per the rules, they've got to arrive in march column. So I was trying to get them on and then get them quickly into line and unlimbered, but clearly can't do that. So to be honest with you, a little bit, potentially a bit vulnerable here. We've got a big, large cavalry brigade, regiment just sitting there. We've got some infantry, so these are a little bit vulnerable while they're in march column, but obviously there's quite a lot of them as well, so I think they should be okay. But anyway, so that's the end of the Union movement, so I'll head over to some shooting. Okay, so starting down over here with Wingcoop. Now what I'm going to do is they are 2 separate regiments. They're only tiny, but they've got breech loading carbines, or carbines, whichever way you want to pronounce it. So they do get to actually re-roll 1 miss-roll, but they've only got 1 shot anyway. They are in close range to this large unit, so they're going to be hitting on 3s and re-rolling. That is actually 2 hits anyway, and a disorder. Good start, and then 2 saves of 4, which they do make, but they have managed to disorder this large unit. That's a good start. So we're going to move over to this artillery. They're not in close range here, but they are going to get 3 dice because they are in medium range. So that's going to be hitting on 4s. Sorry, it's 2 dice. Sorry, yeah, because they're only they're 4-gun battery, so it's 2 dice hitting on 4s. That's just the 1 hit. 1 save of 6 required because they're at medium range, which they don't make. So that is a casualty. So that's the first one onto that unit there. Okay, then we're going to move across to the centre. So this disordered large unit. Now, because these are not a clear target, They're going to continue to shoot at this regiment here because they want to see if they can try and get them to test. So not a clear target, but they are getting 4 dice, hitting on 6s because they are disordered and they're not a clear target. That was a bit of a long shot, that's all right. And then we've got this unit here. This archer is going to fire down here. Now these are a big gun, 6 guns. They will be getting 3 dice at medium range, hitting on 4s. Just the 2, and then 2 saves of 6 required. No, so that is 2 casualties onto that unit. So Echol's brigade is getting a bit of a pounding at the moment. And then this unit here again, this small unit will fire across here. So 2 dice hitting on 4s with their muskets. Just the 1 hit and a save of 4, which they do make. Okay, so not a super impressive round of shooting, but at least they've blunted the attack over this side from Wharton. So no hand-to-hand in this phase, in this turn for the Union. So over to turn 3 for the Confederates. Okay, so that's another interesting turn of movement for the Confederates on turn 3. So Breckinridge is really getting his troops moving. So on the left here, Wharton's brigade, these were disordered, so couldn't move. But because these were in March column, he was able to redeploy them over here into line. And then Breckinridge comes across at the end just to support him. Clearly seeing this left flank here to try and break through and break through Moore's central brigade here. In the centre, Eckel is interesting. So a few things happened. Firstly, the cadets here now, in American Civil War rules, it's very hard to charge. You have to be ordered in. You can't just charge on initiative when you fight to the front. But these guys were uppity, which means you get a bonus. But unfortunately, they failed a passage of lines check because they were actually behind this unit here. So they basically got stuck. But fortunately, this unit was able to charge in. But as you can see, they took a face full of closing fire and got disordered and took 2 casualties. So not the best result, to be fair. And then Eccles came down here and rallied off a casualty just to keep trying to keep this brigade. It's a little bit spread out, but keeping them in check really, and trying to prevent any that Union, being broken. And finally, man of the match so far in Bowden. Now, cavalry can't charge into formed infantry or deployed artillery. So because these artillery were not deployed, he's managed to get this large unit to charge in. So I don't think that artillery unit is long for this world. So in Bowden continues to be a bit of a pain for the Union on this right flank. So good bit of movement for the Confederates. So we've got a bit of shooting and a bit of hand-to-hand. Okay, so there's fire erupting all across the lines now. So we'll start over on this left-hand side with this front regiment for Wharton. So we're going to be shooting at this small, tiny regiment here. So because they're in light woods, they are not a clear target. And also they are disordered, so they can be hitting on 6s, which isn't great. But they've got 4 shots, so hit on 6s. No, the cavalry escaped that one. Okay, and then we've got this this unit here is firing up at that one there, so just going to be 3 shots hitting on 4s. Not a 1. That's terrible shooting from the Confederate lines. That's not great. Okay, so we're coming across here to the artillery. Right, so back to the artillery now. Because these are howitzers, these can shoot over the heads of this unit without any penalty. If that was smoothbore, they get a penalty for that. Because they're howitzers, they're lobbing their shells across. That's okay. So again, we've got 3, but hitting on 5s because of the range. That is 2 hits and a disorder. 2 saves of 6 required. This could shake that unit, and it does. So that means they are now disordered, shaken, and they're also 1 over their stamina limit. So that means they will be testing for morale. But we've also got this smoothbore unit here, so they're going to fire just the 1 shot again, hitting it on a 5. No, okay, but they will be testing. But we'll finish the shooting first. So again, more shots here, so they will be shooting up here again, which is going to be 3 shots hitting on 5s because they're not a clear target. Here's another hit, and then we've got 1 save of 4. No, so that's another casualty. So they're down to 2. Yes, so they're 2 over. Okay, and then we've got this unit here in the centre. I'll just move this up a little bit so we see what we're doing. So they're going to be hitting on. They're not in close range. They were hitting on 5s because it's deployed artillery. 2 hits and a disorder again. 2 saves of 4 required. They do make their saves though, but they are disordered. That is helpful. Okay, and then we'll come across to this one here. So for this last bit of shooting, the cadets here are going to shoot up at the artillery there, which is the closest unit. So it's just 2 shots, hitting on 4s. Because they're not deployed. Nothing. Okay. The lads haven't got their practice in yet. Okay, I think that's the end of all the shooting. Oh no, we've got this 1 shot from here because they are skirmishers, because they can shoot that way. So there's going to have 1 shot at that unit there. So hitting on a 4. No. Oh, they can re-roll, I think. No, they can't because they've only got the rifle carbines. Okay, so that's the end of the shooting for the Confederates. Pretty good turn, I think. Particularly in the centre here, starting to see quite a bit of damage come across to Moore's Brigade. Okay, so I'm just going to do that test for that unit there, so we'll come back for that. So for this break test, it's going to be -2 for 2 over casualties, minus another 1 for the disorder, and also because they took casualties from artillery, it's another -1, so -4 from this roll. Infantry hold on 6+, so they're going to need at least a 6 from this roll. So that's nothing. It's -4. So 7 minus 4 is a 3. So they are broken and whipped. So again, because it's from shooting, they are whipped. So that's bad news for Moore's Brigade. So I'll just move those units and then we'll come back. Okay, so now we can see a big gaping hole in Moore's lines here as that unit moved back, and they also get reduced down to basically you lose 1 stamina. Also they're now whipped, and they can't recover from being shaken or disordered, and they're considered lost as part of the game. So Moore's Brigade very shaky now. Yeah, so let's go for the hand-to-hand and see what happens. Let's start with here. So this unit here has got 6 hand-to-hand dice, but because they're disordered, it's -1, but they're charged in, so it's +1, so back to 4s. And because it's a small unit for the Union, they've got 4 hand-to-hand dice. So 6 dice hitting on 4s. Average, well, just a bit below average. That's 3 hits, and then the Union get 4 hits. 4 attacks hitting on 4s. Just the 1 though, so interesting. Okay, so that means 1 save of 4 for the Confederates, which they do make, and then 3 saves of 4 required for the Union. So they don't make 2 of those. So that's they lost. So yes, so they lost the combat by 2. They are supported here, but these are also supported, so it's a fair fight in that respect. So these are actually 2 casualties, meaning they're shaken, but they've lost the combat, so they'll be rolling on the break test. An 8 means they hold in place, but they are going to be shaken. Okay, so then we'll come across to Imboden's cavalry. Okay, so I just did that off camera because, to be honest with you, it was going to be quite simple for Imboden, which it was. He didn't get any casualties, and the artillery broke and just reformed his line. But the big news for that turn, which I didn't realise until we'd finished it, was now these are whipped but also shaken, and because these were shaken in that round of combat, again that whole brigade is broken because you don't count the artillery, and there were 3 regiments of infantry, so it's over half shaken. So Moore's Brigade is gone. That is big news. That's the 2nd Brigade gone. This whole right flank of the Union, holding the high ground, is broken. So yeah, that's 2 brigades gone for the Union. It's not looking good, and we're only in turn 3. Okay, so I'll remove those units. You can, the rules do allow you to kind of do this kind of shuffling off the board broken, but I just tend to just remove the units, it's quicker. So yeah, so over to Union, turn 3. Okay, so it looks a bit grim on this right flank now for the Union. So first things first, so Wynkoop basically realising that he's facing overwhelming odds, and also if those are broken, then that would kill the game. So basically they've mounted up and skedaddled. Now they are in rough ground, so they're only able to move half movements. That's fine, but they've just moved away from the approaching Confederates. Siegel then, well, at the end of the turn he moved across to join Thoburn in kind of what looks like a little bit of a last stand now, but he was able to deploy his units into a firing line. I think I made a bit of an error here. These could probably have done a sweep in advance and charge into the flank of that unit while they were in march column, but I forgot, so they didn't. So that's a tactical error by Imboden, despite all his good work. But as you can see, the Union are kind of deployed into defensive posture here. So there will be some shooting, so we'll come back for that. Okay, so starting here with this 4-gun battery here, is going to fire at this unit here. Now, because they have their position, they are going to get enfilading fire, which basically means they get to re-roll the shots. So they're at medium range, so there's 2 dice hitting on 4s and re-rolling. Don't need it, and they are disordered as well. Oh, this could be bad, so 2 saves of 6 required because at medium range. No, so that unit is both shaken and 1 over its stamina, so it will be testing. Okay, this unit here, so they are the closest, but because of how they're angled, they're not a clear target, so they're going to shoot at the VMI cadets. So it's going to be 3 dice hitting on 4s. Just the 1 hit and 1 save of 4 required. No, so that is a casualty on the cadets. That's not very nice, shooting at children. There you go. And then we've got these guys here will be shooting at the cavalry. So that's going to be, they are in close range. So it's 4 dice hitting on 3s. Only 2 hits, but a disorder as well. And 2 saves of 4. No, so that is the 2 casualties. Luckily they are a large unit, so they're not shaken just yet, but they are disordered, which isn't great. Okay, so it's the end of the shooting for turn 3 for the Union. So over to turn 4 for the Confederates. Apologies, I forgot the break test. So these guys are testing, so it's -1 for being disordered, -1 for being 1 over the stamina, and -1 for being casualties from an artillery unit. So it's -3 to this roll. Oh dear. Okay, so they're gone, so they are whipped. So that's the first Confederate unit that is effectively broken. So I'll do that move and then we'll come back for turn 4 for the Confederates. Okay, so that's the end of turn 4 movement for the Confederates. It's very interesting, tactically difficult to know what to do here because could have tried to pursue this cavalry through the woods, but they're going to basically get further and further away. And also they're not clear targets. They've got a save modifier, so decided to go for it. So Wharton rolled the dice with Breckenridge in support with the commander reroll, managed to get his whole brigade, or the infantry at least, to move across towards to Thoburn, and also managed to get his artillery down off this hill, limbered, and just moved off 1 move. In the centre, difficult choice for Ecole here because he's got 2 regiments that were close to being shaken. He's already got 1 unit shaken there and whipped, so decided to stay with his regiment here and rallied off another casualty. So just thinking a little bit longer term. And then again, difficult decisions for Imboden after all that good work. So just decided to do a disorderly retreat for this cavalry off the hill. So to put the hill between him and this infantry. It's put them out of the game for a little bit, but best to protect them, keep them in the game longer than if I need them. And they just stayed where they were. Okay, so we've got a bit of shooting coming up, so we'll come back for that. Okay, so as Wharton's brigade moved too far, it's just going to be these units here. So the cadets here are going to shoot up at that regiment there. 2 shots hitting on 4s, 1 hit and a disorder. Not a bad start. Save of 4 required, which they do make, but the cadets have managed to disorder that unit. And then we've also got this small dismounted cav just going to shoot up there as well, hitting on a 4, which they do, and again save of 4. No, so that is also casualty. Okay, so a little bit of chip damage there from the Confederates in that turn. Okay, no hand to hand. So we're going to move over to turn 4 for the Union. Okay, so that's end of turn 4 movement for the Union. So Thoburn just made this large regiment just follow the cavalry. So they're retreating, they're still in range. So just trying to see if we can do a bit more damage. Then also they moved this small regiment round just to kind of widen and straighten up this firing line, get some more muskets involved. Okay, so we'll come back for some shooting. Okay, so starting over here, this small unit's going to fire across here into here. So that's 2 shots hit from 4s. That is 2 hits and 2 saves of 4 required. Just 1 casualty coming on there. And then we've got the 2 shots from the artillery hitting on 4s. Sorry, get 1 hit and save of 4, which they do make on a 6, which is good. Okay, so that was lucky for them. So I rolled the wrong dice and it should be in blue, but that's fine. So they got a 6, they saved it. And then we've got this centre unit here. So there's 3 dice, but because they're disordered, they're going to be hitting on 5s. No hits. Okay, so not as bad as I thought it might be for the Confederates. So just got this large unit here, so we'll come back for that. Okay, so it's going to be 4 dice because it's a large unit, hitting on 4s. That is 3 hits and 3 safe, so 4 required. Another casualty, but that is the magic number because that means they are now shaken, and they're still disordered from last turn. So okay, so that's the end of shooting on turn 4 and the end of turn 4. So I'm going to do a quick wrap up just to see where we are with this now before we go into turn 5. Okay, so just a quick summary because you'll see now there's a big gap on this side here. So after that shooting from that regiment there and shaking that cavalry regiment, that does mean that Imboden's brigade was broken. So they've now left the field as well. So the Union have struck back in turn 4. So interesting times now because although I think Breckinridge is in the ascendancy really, he's got 2 large infantry brigades closing on the Union here. That has taken that threat away, and the Union will have some reinforcements coming in again for turn 5. So yeah, this is still in the balance. The Confederates just got to break 1 more brigade, and the Union got to break 1. So yeah, it's getting tight. So let's see how we get on for the Confederates in turn 5. So that's the end of turn 5 movement for the Confederates. So recognising that they've got to get on with it, with the help of the general reroll from Breckinridge, Wharton managed to move his troops around. So this large unit came around to this flank here, supported there, and that small unit managed to move around to that flank there. So just trying to get as many muskets now into this into Thoburn brigade as possible, and also managed to get his artillery. Well, to be fair, they just moved on there because they're limbered. They got the free move because he failed his order after that, so they just moved up 1 to there. So just trying to get the artillery onto the hill to at least get some fire down. Couldn't do so this turn, and then unfortunately Eccles, he basically failed his role as well, so his brigade is stuck where they are, which wasn't helpful. But yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so that's the end of the movement. So obviously got some shooting to do, so we'll come back for that. Right, we'll start with this left flank here. So this large unit is going to open up onto this small unit there. So getting 4 shots. They're not in close range. There's 4 dice hitting on 4s. That's 2 hits and a disorder. So I'll put that on first. And then 2 saves of 4 required. So 1 casualty. So not enough to shake them, but obviously you muted them. This unit here is also going to fire in at them as well, because they can ignore the artillery for now because they're not a clear target. I want to try and get as much onto these as possible. So they're just going to have 3 dice hitting on 4s. That's another hit, and need this to shake them. And it does. So they're now shaken. So that's goal number 1. So now we've got this small unit here, and the cadets are going to shoot across at this unit here. We've already got a casualty. So it's just 2 shooting dice here. So 2 dice hit on 4s. That's both hit though, and a disorder. So some good shooting from the Rebs today. And then 2 saves of 4, but saved. And then we've got the cadets. Now they are, because of their positioning, they're not a clear target, so it's going to be hitting on 5s. No, nothing there. Okay, so that is the end of shooting and turn 5 for the Confederates. So they've got 1 shaken unit down there. That's a good start. A bit of disorder. So let's see what the Union can do on their turn 5. Okay, so that's the end of a pretty decent turn of movement for the Union. So tactically, Thoburn basically moved his 2 damaged regiments off the line, so they both did disorderly retreats, which is why I've got a second disorder marker on. So I know they'll be disordered for the next round as well. Then he managed to move this unit round to here, and then Sullivan brought his fresh brigade on and basically filled in the line with these 2 large undamaged regiments. Now we have sacrificed a bit of shooting for the Union because obviously they've moved more than once and they can't shoot, but the line is now reformed with some fresh units, undamaged units all across the line. So it's just going to make the Confederates' task a little bit harder as we head into this turn 5. So just a little bit of shooting back now just from this artillery, so I'll come back for that. Right, so this is again not in close range. We've got 2 shots hitting on 4s. No, okay, that missed. Clearly all this manoeuvring around them confused the gunners a little bit there. Okay, so a bit disappointed with the Union there. So they've got a strong line, but no casualties coming across in that round. So we're heading into turn 6 now. So only a couple of turns to go really. We'll do another couple of rounds, see how we get on. The light is fading on the battlefield, so let's see how we get on for turn 6 for the Confederates. Okay, so not a huge amount of movement on turn 6. I think Breckenridge is just toying with what to do, but to be honest with you, we could try and charge, but these are fresh units, so decided to just try and stay in line, keep pouring the fire on, see if we get some damage on these, and also try to get his artillery up, but they only got their free move. So again, a bit disappointing there because there won't be any shooting this turn either, but they are set for next turn. And then over here, Eckel again, not great, but did manage to move this unit across to here to get an enfilading fire position across this unit here, but then failed to move anything else. So it's all getting a bit static at the moment, a bit bogged down. We've got some tired legs out there. They've been fighting all day, so let's see how we get on for some shooting in turn 6. Okay, so once again we're going to start down this side here. So this large room is going to shoot at that one. So again, 4 dice hitting on 4s. Just 2 hits and 2 saves of 4. Just the 1 casualty. And then we've got this regiment again is going to shoot here, so that's 3 dice hitting on 4s. Just the 1 and a disorder, and then save of 4 required, which they do make, but they are disordered. This small regiment again is going to shoot at this regiment now, so 2 dice hitting on 4s. Just the 1 and save of 4 required. No, so that is a casualty. Okay, so some successes there. And then we'll come over to this one here. Okay, so this regiment's shooting down, enfilading down this unit here. So again, 3 shots on 4s, re-rolling. That's 2, re-rolling that 1. That is 3 hits and a disorder, that's not bad. And then 3 saves of 4 required. No, and 2 casualties, so that's pretty good going from that unit there. And then we've got this one here, the cadets. So again, the cadets are going to shoot down here towards this unit here, but who aren't a clear target. So 2 dice hitting on 5s. Wow, well done the cadets. 2 hits and a disorder. I wasn't expecting that. And 2 saves of 4 required. And 2 casualties. Wow. Okay. Well, the kids have got their marksman's badges today, I think. Okay, I think that's the end of all the shooting. Not bad, actually. I guess if you look across the line now, so again, disorder all the way across the Union lines. From the Confederates, so they're giving it a good go. So let's move over to turn 6 for the Union and let's see how we get on. Okay, so as you can see, it's a bit of a slugfest now. So because every unit in the Union Army was disordered, apart from the artillery here, there was actually no movement. So we're just going to move straight onto shooting. As you can see, the lines have erupted. There is smoke. There's death everywhere. So let's see how we got on in this turn 6. We're coming towards the end of the game now, so let's see how we get on. So we'll start on this right flank of the Union line here. So this large unit will shoot back here. So again, 4 dice, but they are disordered, so they're going to be hitting on 5s. That is 2 hits and a disorder though, so it's all kicking off. And then 2 saves of 4. No, so that unit's down to, got 3 casualties now and disordered. That's not a good start. And then we'll come over to the centre here for the artillery. So again, 2 dice hitting on 4s. That's 1 hit, save of 6 required, which they do make. That's really important. I think that's really good for the Confederates. They need to hold this line, but they've got a big shooting coming up here. So again, 4 dice on 5s against that unit there, who are only small. No, so that disorder has really helped out the Confederate lines here. So what we've got left, we've got this unit here again. It's going to shoot across at the cadets. Again, I know we're shooting children, but that's okay. So 4 dice hitting on 5s again because they're disordered, and they are enfilading this time as well. No, so they do get to re-roll. Nothing though, so that's interesting. So complete whiff for the Union, apart from down this end here. All that disorder really has made it difficult for the Union to get some decent shots off. So we're moving into turn 7. Let's see what happens for the Confederates. Okay, so that's the end of movement for turn 7. So this unit here did a disorderly retreat just to come off the line, and then this fresh regiment moved in. The artillery all unlimbered, so now they can start shooting overheads into these as well. So the Confederates have got a bit of extra firepower coming in. All the movement here, and just here the cadets just wheeled around to face off against them, and also this unit here managed to move through the gap a little bit, and also Eccles managed to rally off a casualty. So his brigade's looking pretty comfortable now. I think moving them off the line has meant that, again, not much damage on these regiments at the moment. So yeah, Confederates are in a good place now. Let's see if they can get the damage they need. Just need to break one of these brigades. Let's see if they can get it done. Okay, we'll start down here against this fresh regiment here is firing in, so 3 dice hitting on 4s. Oh, rubbish, nothing there at all, not a good start. Okay, so this regiment here has got 3 dice hitting on 4s. Just the 1, so about 6 dice, just 1 hit, save a 4 required. But that is a casualty, so that is something out of that, but that's pretty poor. And then we've got this regiment here firing in here. 2 dice hitting on 4s. Just the 1. Now if these don't make this, they will be shaken. And they are, so that unit is shaken. So that is task 1 done for the Confederates. Let's see if this artillery here can help out. So again, we've got 3 dice for the howitzers. Overhead shooting is okay for howitzers. They are at long range though, so it's going to be 3 dice hitting on 5s. There it is, there's 1 there, so save of 6 required. No, so that is another casualty. So there's no other firepower to go in there though, so they didn't get shaken in that round because these are firing across at here, which are already shaken unfortunately. So just 1 dice, but hitting on a 6 because they are shooting overhead, so it's -1 for that. They're also -1 at long range, and they've just got 1 dice, which they don't miss. They hit. Sorry, they miss. Ooh, okay. So let's see if the cadets and the Eccles Brigade can sort that one out over there. Okay, so we'll start with this unit here that's firing. Actually, no, we'll start with the cadets because they've got. Let's see if they can do some damage first. So 2 dice, hitting on 4s. Can they have the glory? No. Okay, so these guys are firing down 3 dice, 3s, but also re-rolling because of enfilading fire. That's 2 hits and a disorder. Can they get a 3rd hit? No. And so that's disorder onto them. Right, so here we go. 2 saves of 4 required, or they're shaken, and that brigade is broken. Let's see how we get on. No, it didn't. That's it. So I think, let me just pause for breath a minute. Okay, so that is the end of shooting on turn 7 for the Confederates. So as we stand, this unit is now shaken. And this unit is still shaken. So yes, these are now broken. So that brigade is broken. So that's the end of the game. I think the Confederates have won. So let me come back for a quick wrap up. So yes, that is the end of the game. So I had a quick check back on the camera just to make sure I hadn't missed anything. And yes, so the fact that Thoburn's brigade, which is here, is now broken, meant that the Confederates have won. And all that disorder across the line meant that the brigade commander there Thoburn couldn't actually rally any of his troops. So that was really interesting. That kind of really clinched it in the end, because once those guys had gone, that was it. That was the end of the game. So yeah, really fun. Really enjoyed that. It was an interesting scenario. I thought I really liked how it played. The fact that the Union were kind of still forming their lines, and the Confederates had to push on early to try and you know, get stuck in before the Union could get themselves sorted. Really enjoyed the cavalry clash over this side as in Bowden. Bit of an MVP, although I know they got broken in the end, but came up and there was a great kind of cavalry clash on this side of the board, back and forth with Tibbetts' brigade. And it was quite fun seeing the Union trying to come onto the board in phases as they're trying to form their line. And at one point I did think, once this 5th Brigade had come on and started to consolidate this line, I did think, well, it's going to be quite tough now for the Confederates to break through based on the size of those units. But just managed to get that artillery involved at the end. Enough damage was coming on. And then the cadets, yeah, brilliant. I mean, interesting. They were in the battle, the actual battle. They did perform quite well. So it was really interesting. They had quite a bit of involvement in the game, which I thought was quite good fun. But in the end, breaking that brigade there just won the game for the Confederates. So great little scenario. Enjoyed that a lot. Hope you guys did as well. So more American Civil War epic battles coming on the channel over the year. And yeah, hope to catch you all very soon.